live to Beirut itself now and talk to Ali Risk. He's an expert on the Middle East. He joins me now on the line. Now, we just had a description of the scenes there from our reporter. You are there in the city. How would you assess the situation right now?
Well, I think that I think Lakhdar al-Ibrahimi, actually the UN envoy to Syria, he was here in Beirut just 2 days ago. I'm not sure if you know this, but in his statements he said that he was very afraid that the conflict or the unrest in Syria could not stay within Syria's borders forever, and that eventually, if it continues, it will go beyond these borders. This was a statement made by Lakhdar al-Ibrahimi just 2 days ago from this very city. Now, 2 days after he made these statements, we see this massive blast. I was at the scene today for a couple of hours. It was a massive explosion. Already we have the political element coming into play. Some elements of the March 14 movement, which is known to be anti-Bashar Assad, even before it was known who was killed in this explosion, they quickly pointed the fingers at the Syrian government. Now Wissam al-Hassan, the head of intelligence security, who apparently has been killed or targeted, is known to be actually pro-March 14, is known not to be one of the supporters, or not to be a very likable person for the Syrian government. So I think now this will only lead to more and more fingers from March 14 and from their Western allies being pointed at Syria, similar to the situation which we witnessed when the former Lebanese Prime Minister Rafiq Hariri was assassinated back then. Also,
and Ali, what do you make of those accusations that the Syrian government could be behind these blasts? What do you make of that?
Well, the question which must be raised in all of these cases is who benefits from such an act. I think, you know, if the Syrian government does go ahead, although we don't have any information, but if it does go ahead with these acts, I think it's only endangering itself in committing suicide. So is the Syrian government as such, is it a suicidal government? I myself don't see so. I think that the side which benefits maybe would be Israel. You have to remember, now this might be a coincidence, but it might not be. Hezbollah said that it actually sent an unmanned drone into Israeli airspace just a few days ago. So could this be a response from Israel? Is Israel, for example, behind this? Because many are saying that Israel doesn't have the ability, or it now cannot actually wage a war against Hezbollah and against Lebanon. So has Israel resorted to creating internal instability inside Lebanon with the aim of keeping Lebanon preoccupied with itself and taking it out of what we refer to here as the resistance axis, which includes Iran, Syria and Hezbollah. So I think that we also must not forget the potential of Israel playing a role. In addition, if you just allow me as well, the fact that many of the Al-Qaeda elements and the extremists who are fighting the Syrian government in Syria, it is said that many of them have fled over here into Lebanon from the city of Homs and taken refuge. And the explosion we saw today, car bombings, indeed do bear the traces of Al-Qaeda, its affiliates and even some foreign intelligence sources.
Just briefly, let's end with a reminder of what you said earlier, and that is that the Special Envoy to Syria did warn that the Syrian conflict could spread beyond Syria itself. You've just been talking about Israel. We now see the events there in Lebanon. We've been, of course, reporting about the impact on Turkey. Which other countries now could be affected by the Syrian crisis, just briefly?
The Syrian crisis, as I said, it could affect the whole region. We also have Iraq. Iraq could be very much involved, especially taking into consideration Al-Qaeda and its presence there. The whole region could be set ablaze, and even some of Syria's foes, like the United States and the Obama administration, have warned of the regional repercussions of the ongoing Syrian unrest. So I think the whole region is exposed, and so for this reason it's very important for there to be a commitment to the initiative by Lakhdar al-Ibrahimi, who focused on reaching a ceasefire on the Muslim holiday of Eid al-Adha.
Ali Risk, Middle East expert, live from Beirut in Lebanon. Thank you very much indeed. Well,